Alright, how you guys doing? Wanted to real quick highlight one of these species. I got a few questions about this guy here and about how I'm keeping him alive. This is a northern hog sucker. He's probably about 4 inches long right now. I caught him when he was about 3/4 of an inch long about a year ago, and so he's grown quite a bit in the year that I've had him. One of the things that I've been asked is, how in the world do you keep them fed with all these shiners in here? Because these guys eat like pigs, and they will eat and eat and eat and eat. And how in the world does he find food with all of them in here? Yeah, there's a dead fish. That's all right. You can see he feeds by sifting through the sand, and I used to, if you can see the soil, there's kind of like a black layer there. That layer there was plant soil, and I put a cap on top of it of this sand so that way he's able to eat more naturally. When I just had the plant substrate in there, he kind of had to push the gravel around with his nose rather than feeding the way he's used to feeding. So this has kind of helped him out a lot. That way you can see how he picks the sand up with his mouth, and then he ejects it through his gill slits. The sand also allows for, you can see that there's some different size sand grains in there. There's some that's pretty fine, and then there's some thicker stuff as well that allows it to trap some of the food that does make it to the bottom. And then as that food starts to settle, it gets in between the sand granules, and he's able to sift through there and eat. These fish, I don't know where in the world he went to. He does a real good job of hiding, but these fish do like, I do like to feed these fish. There he is again. I do like to feed these fish a variety of foods. I feed them frozen bloodworms, freeze-dried bloodworms, and mysis shrimp, tetracolor crisps. And those ones, the minnows seem to have a hard time chewing, and so a lot of it does make it to the bottom. The frozen bloodworms, I'll use a pipette, which I can show you here real quick. I take a, from Meyer, shameless plug, right? So what I do with this, you can see it's got a little water in it already, it should be emptied out, but what I'll do is I detach this from the airline tubing, and I'll just stick the needle into the water and draw some water out, and then I'll reattach it to the airline tubing and depress the button so that I get some water into the airline tubing, and then I'll have a little jar with the bloodworms in it, and I'll stick this end in there and suck it up and out, and that way there's some water in the airline tubing already, so that way as I'm pushing the bloodworms out, nothing gets stuck in the tubing because there's enough water in there, so that if there's any loose ones, it gets sucked into here or something like that. It does take a little bit of finesse work to get the sucker fed, because all of these minnows in here, I have to distract them with something on the surface, or I have to feed multiple locations to try to draw them away. And he doesn't like to use his eyes a whole lot, so you can stick those bloodworms right in front of him, and sometimes he'll swim right past them. So it does take a little bit of work, but he finds food, and he's very happy. He's healthy as far as I can tell, and he might not be as fed as I would like him to be, but he's definitely not underfed. He's a healthy and happy fish. So that's the northern hog sucker. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.